Hello, I'm Callum Houston, and this is my Unchained Movie Review. This time I'm looking at Space Amoeba, made in 1970 by Japan's Toho Studios. It was directed by Ishiro Honda, who directed most of the classic Godzilla movies. It was released in North America as Yog, Monster from Space. I was attracted to this movie right away because it's from 1970, and I love all science fiction, and especially the Godzilla movies from the 70s. The plot involves a space probe that travels to Jupiter and gets infiltrated by a living energy force. This would be the Space Amoeba. The amoeba then sends the probe back to Earth, where it lands in the ocean near an island. A group of people travel to the island where they encounter giant monsters that have been taken over by the Space Amoeba. One of the characters, a biologist, deduces that the Space Amoeba intends to conquer the entire planet. However, we don't actually see anything that suggests that could be possible. All of the action takes place on this island. That's something that sets this movie apart from the Godzilla movies. In the Godzilla movies, entire cities get annihilated, even on an international basis. But in this one, the greatest extent of the destruction is a shack gets destroyed. So this movie is much smaller and more intimate than the Godzilla movies. This movie has two obvious horror aspects to it. The first one is the amoeba itself, which can travel from host to host, which makes it very similar to a demon. Those who are overcome by it are much like demonic possession victims. A man becomes possessed and he looks like a vampire. And as we know, demonic possession was going to become a big sensation in 3 years with The Exorcist. The other horror aspect is it involves bats, hordes of bats. But in a twist, the bats aren't evil, they're good. The bats have an ability to sonically discombobulate the Space Amoeba, and they end up being the heroes of the movie. It's the bats who save the day. I'm willing to bet the inclusion of bats was influenced by the Dracula craze of the 60s and early 70s. There are 3 giant monsters in this movie. A reptile creature that looks kind of like Anguirus or Gamera. There's a crab creature that looks like Ibera from Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. And there's a giant octopus-like creature. The octopus monster is quite frightening. It's quite impressive. And to me, it seems like the forerunner to Hedorah from Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. This movie comes across as Japanese folklore. It's like a hallucinogenic episode of Gilligan's Island. The dialogue is very corny and the story is hokey. It's definitely a film for children, even more so than the Godzilla movies. And even though Godzilla's Revenge is considered the worst Godzilla movie, I'd say it's still way better than Space Amoeba. The Aurum Encyclopedia of Science Fiction says this about the film, quote, "The below-standard special effects and less than impressive camera work make the film a poor ending to Honda's career," unquote. This assessment is completely untrue. The special effects in this movie are very good, especially the space probe that goes to Jupiter. There's also a bit of live underwater filming that we don't normally see in Toho movies. And the highlight is a lot of beautiful scenes of the Japanese countryside. The camera work is actually quite excellent. What's lacking is a good story. So that's my Unchained movie review for this week. Space Amoeba from Japan's Toho Studios. I'm Callum Houston. Thank you for listening, and please check in again for future movie reviews.